Hey everyone, it's Fab Wednesdays, and today I figured I would share some of my media creations before I did photos and videos. So way before starting in grade 5, I used to make these little newsletters for myself and for, a couple of friends. So grade 5, I did these little newsletters. All of this is done by Word, by the way, so Microsoft Word. It is an amazing program. You can do anything on Word. I made newsletters out of an imaginary city that I created called Epsilon. Pretty simple, with some clip art and a little masthead there that I learned from the newspaper club that I was in, which I kind of quit because I didn't like the quality of the work that they did. I didn't like the layout. I didn't like how unprofessional it looked, so I didn't stay in the newspaper club in grade 5. So moving on to grade 8, I downgraded myself to this. It looked kind of more like a website, and in fact, I was starting to experiment with website creation. A few issues later, I started playing with columns again. Grade 9 happened, and by that time, I really wanted to build on that, and I thought about it over the summer. I created the attitude. I created a little logo for it, and a kind of more better layout. We covered Princess Diana's death, Mother Teresa's death. I did a few issues until we changed the layout of that, but some of my friends at school would write for it, and most of it was things that I had already prepared and submitted ahead of time, just fillers, but people loved reading it, and we had a few, entrepreneurial-minded classmates in the same class because there was an enterprise and innovation option. Some of the other kids wanted to do their own newspapers and things like that, but they didn't last because they didn't do it over and over and over again. They just did one little thing and they never continued on with it. Here's the layout change here. There was another layout change which I kind of stuck to until the end of grade 9. As you see here, it was all grayscale and it didn't really work well with the photocopier, which by the way, I got the code for and did free photocopies at school. So with the black and white layout, it looked a lot crisper and sharper like that. So I stuck to this black and white until the end of grade 9. So after that, I went into high school. I don't know where those newspapers are, but again, I joined the newspaper club and I was very dissatisfied with the quality of the newspapers that they were printing out, especially the fact that it was every month and not every week that I did here. And so I quit the newspaper club and I started my own paper. So at one point, McNally had 2 newspapers until my paper was banned, and it was banned because the newspaper club teacher found out that there was a second paper going around, and so she didn't want to not be in control of it. Of course, the school wanted to be in control of everything. My next newspaper endeavor was in church. So I created the weekly whatever here, which kind of stuck for a while. And in fact, it was this legacy here that started the monthly publication on the Chinese side of the congregation, which I didn't do, but this kind of was a jump start to it, and it just celebrated the 10th year, which was pretty neat. I had my own style for everything, and it was very consistent, so I wanted everything to look a very professional style. So they even had comics on it. Somebody did a comic for it. Right after that, I did Plunge periodical, because I started taking more pictures and I wanted to highlight more pictures in it. So I made it into more of a landscape magazine style paper laid out flat. And with this, it was way more easy to publish it like this because you didn't need the big tabloid folds on the paper. The graphics are a little bit different as well. And I used Plunge because it was in a Baptist church and I wanted to have something related to baptism. Pretty neat little paper there. And then after that was done, I got kind of tired by the fact that I was the only one submitting anything. I was the only one writing and publishing everything all at the same time. I had a couple issues of this ECBC because I asked for good name submissions. The only name submission was... So it was called the English Congregation Babbling Communique, and Obviously, somebody was just mocking the fact that I was doing this stuff, and it was kind of the start of the end of the whole group of people that I grew up in church with. People started going to different stages of their life and getting married and having kids and moving away. I just didn't want to continue to invest the time into it, so I just stopped it. That's the end of all my publications. I really enjoyed doing it, and looking back at all this, it was worthwhile to go through it because it's another section of my life that I can go back to. These are the things that I did every week. These are the things that were important to me. This is the stuff that I was thinking back then. I was kind of uber conservative back then, but I was uber conservative, then I moved into this stage of my life when I went NDP for a while, and you know, the whole New Democrat, socialist, left-wing stuff, like all university students do. They think that they can change the world when they can't even lower their own tuition fees. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this little longer version of Fab Wednesdays. They're definitely a part of me that I wanted to share today.